Good morning. Welcome back to the Enneagram Mom Interviews. I'm Whitney Ellison with Wellison Enterprises. Happy Monday. It's a very rainy Monday here. I'm hopeful that our reception stays strong, so we will see as we go. As we all remember, the Enneagram is a wonderful tool for developing self-awareness and empathy. And our mission is to amplify moms' voices by telling our stories, honoring our differences, and offering useful tips from our specific Enneagram strengths that will help all moms and all parents in general. Sorry, a little technical difficulty there. All right. So today I would like to thank our sponsor, Ruya Coffee. Ruya is a wonderful local Cincinnati product that has now started distribution. They're kind of everywhere now. I think they're in New York, LA, of course, Cincinnati, Midwest. You can order them online. You can subscribe online. Very exciting. Ruya Coffee, this is their branding right here. First of all, let's talk about their mission. Their mission is, their slogan is for the immigrant dream. And so what that is Ruya means dream in Turkish, and this is on the back of the package. And this is my friend Melissa's mission. Ruya means dream in Turkish. It was inspired by my parents who lived the immigrant dream. They came here with no real plan, no money, but they loved it here and they figured out a life. And that's from Melissa Adigan, the founder of Ruya. She's an incredible woman. So if you love coffee, head to their website to subscribe. I do have a special code at the end that I'll give that offers a discount. So thank you to Ruya for sponsoring this episode. Today's guest is Anna Nerenberg. Anna is a 2-wing 3. She's the mom of 1 toddler daughter. She is the founder of Adelinda's Lumpia, which is a wonderful Filipino-American food merchant in Cincinnati. So let's bring Anna on. It's connecting right now. Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I am wonderful. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for joining me. Is your reception okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay, awesome. Well, first of all, it's so nice to meet you. Thank you for making time for me. I love this.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Well, I would love to start because we are new friends. I would love for you to tell me about yourself and tell our audience about yourself and who you are and what you are up to these days.
Sure. Well, I'm actually pretty new to the Enneagram studies. So if there's anything that you think I misunderstand, please feel free to correct me. But I know you mentioned I am the mother of 1 wonderful 3-year-old daughter named Brooklyn. And so I was laid off during COVID, so I've gotten to spend a lot more time with her, which has been wonderful. And I also do run my own business, which is Adelinda's Lumpia. And I used to sell at Findlay Market in different festivals, but as well with switch foods. So that has been taking most of my time lately. Let's see. I am a 2-wing 3, so I'm looking forward to your guidance as to how to do those personality traits and motivations.
Well, thank you for sharing that. First of all, I just want to tell you that, as far as being laid off during COVID, I'm so sorry to hear that. I know so many people have experienced that. I think you have found the gift of time in that with your child, and that's good that you see it that way. And it certainly is a time during those formative years when the more time we have with our kids, the more impactful, it can be. So I'm sorry that you were laid off, but it's nice to hear that you get more time with your daughter. The second piece that I want to say is I love that you're embarking on the Enneagram journey and that it means something to you. And I can't wait to talk more about what that looks like. I feel like Enneagram 2s, I have some Enneagram 2 friends that are like really amazing at feeding me. And so for you to have a business in food, I love that because I know how much love must go into the food that you make for your customers. And so I'd love to talk about that a little more. Were you born and raised in Cincinnati? Are you from this area, or did you move here from another state?
As a small child, I lived in Virginia Beach, but I've
Okay.
lived in life.
I'm sorry, say that one.
I don't know if
You
you're
popped out.
talking
You
to a
lived in
different
Virginia
person.
Beach as a small child? Oh, okay. Can you hear
Yes.
me
Yeah.
now? Okay.
And in
So
Virginia,
you were a small child.
yes. I think we're are off. I think I'm
Yes.
delayed or something.
Okay, I can hear you better now. So can you hear me better now? Okay, I'm going to switch to data. Hang on one second. If I lose you, I'm going to jump back on live. Okay. Is that better?
So far.
Okay. All right, here we go.
I
So
think you're
let's,
freezing again. Maybe.
oh my goodness. Okay. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay. Is my image freezing, but you can hear my voice?
Yes.
Okay, well, let's just keep talking then.
Okay.
We'll hope for the best. Okay, so you were saying that as a small child, you lived in Virginia Beach and then you moved to Cincinnati and you've been here ever since?
Yes.
Okay, and so then with your food business, tell me about how that started.
Well, so in Virginia Beach, there's a ton of Filipino food and Filipino restaurants and Filipinos. And I'd always said, since I've lived in Cincinnati, I wish someone would start a Filipino food business here. I don't know why there's not one. Um, and after my daughter was born, I took some time off of work and I think got a little stir crazy. And I think this might be part of my two-ness, maybe.
Hmm.
Um, but I'm sure a lot of people watching know stay-at-home parents, they're maybe not as appreciated as they should be. They're not financially compensated. So I feel like
Hmm.
that's a form of showing appreciation. And so I think as a two, um, I still needed that. You know, I
Hmm.
still needed something that would people would show gratitude for. So I realized it was the time for me to embark on that journey. And yeah, so I started that when she was a baby, and it's been something I've been doing on the side since then until COVID. Now it's my full time gig again.
Understand. And so tell us about, is it pronounced lumpia? Okay.
Lumpia, a Filipino spring roll.
Okay. And so go ahead.
Oh no, you're fine. You go ahead.
And Adelinda, tell me
Mhm.
about that.
That is my daughter's middle name. My mom's name is Adelinda, and my mother in law's name was Linda. So we named her
That is
after
so
them.
cool. I love that. That is awesome. That is so cool. So this is a business whose namesake is your daughter, her middle name.
Yeah, yes.
That's really neat. And do you have Filipina heritage?
Yes, my mother is full Filipino. My father is American.
And was she born in America or was she born in the Philippines?
The Philippines.
Okay, so you have a lot of cultural influence when it comes to
making your lumpia too.
And I have a huge family still back there, so.
That's amazing. And so let's, because this is unique to this interview, I'd love to talk for a minute about the, coming from a fused family of being a first generation child of a Filipino immigrant to the U.S. I would love to hear about your experience with the Enneagram and how it speaks to you with the fused cultural background that you have.
Sure. Yeah. So I wasn't introduced into the Enneagram until grad school. We did a lot of tests to help us discover how we would best lead. So now that I'm reading more into it, I can see, how both of my parents' parenting styles, which I'm sure were affected by their cultures, maybe helped shape me and my personal Enneagram. Example, my parents, and I know this is strongly influenced by my mom's culture, but she didn't really sugarcoat anything. She was just very honest. So she would always let me know when I was subpar. I love her. She's really hard to be good enough for her, and my father as well. And I don't know his excuse, but I think he's wonderful as well, but I don't know. So I think some of that, always trying to be good enough for them, was kind of my version of trying to receive love from them. Yeah. And I think it may affect my two-ness a lot. I'm going to call it two-ness.
That is perfectly acceptable. I have heard that before. I love it. So then, in terms of your day-to-day activities, the primary caregiving of your daughter, the business that you run on the side, do you feel like these activities speak to your Enneagram type?
I think more so on the business side. It feels to me, if I'm understanding what it's like to be a two, my food really is me. Like, I don't know anyone else here who's making lumpia or who understands much about Filipino culture. So for me, I'm wanting people to love that and accept that and need that from me. So I see it there. And as a two, though, in motherhood, I would think, the way I imagine it, I would think that I would fall into that trap of wanting to be my daughter's best friend, wanting to be a people pleaser in that sense. And, but I don't really feel that way at all. Maybe because I've seen other people and it scares me, or maybe my parents' parenting style balances out. So I'm not trying too hard to be, I don't know. So yeah, the way I understand it, I don't really feel like I'm being a two as a parent.
That's really interesting.
I will say, I've always considered myself, before reading in the Enneagrams, I always called myself a pushover, which I think comes from people pleasing. And I noticed some traits in my daughter when she was young, like first going to the playground. And I was worried, like, oh my gosh, she's going to be a pushover just like me. She's bored with it. But now, after studying twos a little more, I know that it's a healthier core motivation that is probably affecting her behavior.
Yes. And, with that, so, a two's core motivation is to be needed, because to be needed to a two feels like love and acceptance. And so with that, these are typically developed during childhood. And I know you talked a little bit about the experience of your mom and your dad, and a lot of direct instruction and parenting without so much of softness, I guess, is how I interpreted that. Does that sound right? Okay. And so I was wondering if you had So I was wondering if you had any examples or circumstances that you feel comfortable sharing that could help illuminate what helped create that core motivation.
Right. So the parenting style I talked about, I think, was a huge factor in developing my motivation to be needed and appreciated, loved. Um, I also do think I have a medical condition that makes me prone to develop brain aneurysms,
Oh
and
my
my first
goodness.
ruptured when I was a kid, and I
Mm,
ended up in the neuro ICU, and it didn't look very good. And I feel like that maybe I remember being in that situation and thinking like this could be all that I have, and what have I done? Like, whose life have I changed? How have I made this world better than I found it? And I think
mm-hmm,
that also might affect my need to put others first and,
mm-hmm,
please people and make sure I'm making a positive impact on their lives. I think
mm-hmm.
that stems from that as well. And I think those two
Wow.
that affect my wing, my three wing.
Okay. Can you say more about that?
Yeah, I think, how driven they are and how focused they are on achievement. I think it's probably pretty clear with my parents how that affects that.
Mm-hmm,
With my illness, I think, again, it's like, um, how much time do I have? If this were
mm-hmm,
to end today, who's going to remember me? What did I do? So there's that from a people standpoint. And then also, I guess, from a legacy kind of standpoint,
mm-hmm.
I want to be remembered. I want to do something worth remembering.
And I think that's really powerful also from a legacy standpoint, the business that you've chosen to run to carry forward the legacy of your Filipino heritage and doing that through food, which sounds like a love language for you, which I do think is a two love language. Thankfully, that's why I have two friends. Their love language is feeding me, and I love that. So, anyway, but it's powerful to hear you talk about such a such a strong and traumatic experience of having this predisposition for brain aneurysms, having gone through one in your childhood, and what that revealed to you, the idea of service and leaving your mark, very much two wing three type traits. And it's very unique to your story. So I want you to take a minute just to acknowledge that and express my appreciation for that insight and that experience.
My pleasure.
Thank you. So with being a mom, and just now starting to learn about the Enneagram and being a two and understanding your motivation. I know you already mentioned that sometimes you see a bit of your daughter's reflecting that two motivation as well to be needed. How do you let the Enneagram knowledge help guide you in parenting a 3-year-old girl?
I think a big thing is going back to that and my fear when I initially started seeing her exhibit some of those traits. Um, I think now with what I know not to try to stifle
Mm-hmm.
that, who she is at her core, and instead, kind of capitalize on the strengths and understand how to use her strengths and help her understand her strengths as she gets
Mm-hmm.
older, I think. um, and help her to navigate through life, depending on what her fears are. I think that's going to be really valuable knowledge to help her um, feel more fulfilled and satisfied with her life.
That's great. So yes, so not to try to stifle who she is. I think that's incredibly valuable. And then capitalizing on those strengths that you recognize. Yes, absolutely. And I do think the Enneagram teaches us about that, right? Because each of our types whatever our greatest strength is also our greatest weakness. And so being able to recognize that motivation and be mindful about why we're doing the things that we're doing is a really powerful tool, because it helps us make better choices for ourselves. So to utilize that process in raising your child, I think is extremely valuable. Absolutely. So as far as your two strengths go, as the giver or the helper, are there any tips that you'd like to share, especially mothering during a pandemic, that you think would help all moms or all parents that, comes from a strength of yours?
Of mine. Ooh. It's so, I guess it's, I have been able to, fortunately and unfortunately, give more of my time and attention to my daughter. I think fortunately. So, while also looking for a job, I think the giver mentality has helped me to balance that and to still focus on her learnings, which she's missing out on, and so teaching her geography and math and science, things like that. I think that comes from the giver mentality. So I'm not getting too focused on this job search or the other things you realize you need when you're stuck at home, like the bathroom could use updating and I should get to the gym. But so I think that's a good way to utilize those strengths, is to remember also giving back to your child. Yeah, I think that's probably a good thing to remember, because you do have that strength.
Yes. And I love that. And as a giver, to remind us to give back to our child, give back to our children, especially the gift of time, I think is really important. But again, I want to acknowledge that I understand it must be a challenge right now, being laid off in the pandemic and looking for a job. And there's a level of stress there, but to be able to capitalize on the benefit of the time with your baby girl is good too. So please do share with us. Did you say something?
No.
Okay. Please do share with us where people can find you and support you in your business.
Oh, yeah. So I'm on Facebook and Instagram at Adelinda's Lumpia. And to order food, you just email adelindaslumpia@gmail.com. It's all very, very simple and redundant. But if you go to my profile, there's a link to my website where you can look at what we serve and get a little history about the Philippines.
That's perfect. And everybody, please, anybody that watches this, please follow and support Anna. And I will be placing an order because I'm very excited to try this. So I can't wait. I thank you so much for your time. It's so nice to meet you. I really appreciate you sitting down and talking to me about your experience with the Enneagram, and you're welcome to ask me any questions about that offline. And if you have anything as you continue your journey.
Thank you so much. And I hope it was very helpful to people.
Yes, I think it is. So thank you again, and have a great Monday.
You too.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye. So again, a thank you to Anna Nerenberg for joining me this morning to Wing 3. Please do support her business, Adelinda's Lumpia, especially if you're local to Cincinnati. If you're not local, a follow and a share is also a way to support a local business, especially one that is honoring her Filipina heritage and providing great food to her community. So thank you again to Anna Nerenberg, to Wing 3. Our next guest is Wednesday morning. We're going to have Chelsea join us. She's our first Enneagram 4, and I believe the only one for this series, because you 4s are hard to find. So I cannot wait to talk to Chelsea. It's going to be a wonderful conversation. And again, thank you to Ruya Coffee. Again, they have dark, medium, and light coffee. They are offering a great discount code of 20% off your order if you type in Ellison when you order online. That's Ellison, happens to be my last name and part of the name of this business, Wellison Enterprises. So Ellison, 20% off. Again, Rüya means dream in Turkish. It was inspired by Melissa Adigan's parents who lived the immigrant dream. They came here with no real plan, no money, but loved it here, and they figured out a life. So this brand is to honor all of the immigrants in our country that came here to honor their dream in their lives. So thank you again to Melissa and Rüya for sponsoring this episode. Thank you again to Anna Nerenberg for being our guest today. Have a great day. I will see you Wednesday. Bye-bye.